Welcome to Bloomington Today. I'm Kaylin Cockriel, and thanks for joining us. An exciting addition to the city's way of communicating is now available to the community, offering new and effective ways to transmit information between the city organization and the people who live, work, or visit Bloomington. This month marks the beginning of our social media initiative. From February 2011 on, the City of Bloomington will have sites on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Communications Administrator Janine Hill explains why this is an important step for our city to take.
Social media is different in that it allows two-way communication, and our website is one way, and so we put information out there, but using Facebook and Twitter allows residents to interact with the city, and it just provides a different way and a wider audience.
This initiative will allow us to use these social media tools to send out daily alerts regarding events, road closures, or emergency information to our fans and followers of the pages. Information that you won't have to seek us out to find out. We'll get it right to you.
We're looking for different ways to communicate with different groups of people, and we're actually reaching people where they are communicating. So if we put something on the city's website, people can go there to look. But if we send information out via Facebook or Twitter, it's likely that people will receive that information on their smartphones. It's where they are, it's where they're talking with their friends, with their family, and they're going to get information from the city too that will really be useful for them.
To join the new social media initiative, go to our website at www.ci.bloomington.mn.us and look for the icons on our homepage. We encourage all of our viewers to locate our pages and become a fan or follower of them. While the Mall of America's popular underwater attraction is undergoing some changes, take a look.
I'd like to present what the new name, the new aquarium, and the new look, with Poseidon's help, will look like. Let's just do that.
In just a few short months, what has been known for years as Mall of America's underwater adventure will cease to exist. In its place, Sea Life, Minnesota. This new and improved aquarium will feature a real-life Atlantis, complete with a 12-foot Poseidon statue, numerous hands-on activities, upgraded viewing areas, and that's just the beginning.
The completely reimagined aquarium will double, almost double, the number of animals on exhibit. There will be new sea creatures never before seen here at Underwater Adventures, and several new exhibits as well.
If jellyfish, seahorses, giant octopuses, sharks, and live coral displays don't intrigue you, how about the new Ray Bay, with viewing areas both above and below dozens of stingrays?
Not only will the ray tank will sit right here, obviously, where we're at. The steel structure will support the new canopy feature that you see, but there will be a couple neat little bubble windows back here with what I call a little kids tunnel where they can crawl in, get a neat vantage point look into the ray exhibit. The deck, there will actually be a raised deck here with a viewing window that comes overhangs the ray exhibit. So you'll be able to stand over the exhibit as well as go underneath it and view it just as we would if we were standing here.
Or you could actually get your hands wet.
So another real hands-on interactive area, rock pool, very low to the ground for small kids. Have an opportunity to see flatfish, touch a lot of marine invertebrates, starfish, sea urchins, snails, all that sort of fun thing.
A common question Sea Life staff find themselves being asked is, with the number of animals doubling in this new aquarium, where are they all coming from?
We will be acquiring them from around the world. Some of them will be wild caught. A lot of them will come from other zoos and aquariums, and a lot of them will be working with fish farms around primarily the United States and bringing them here.
Our team was on site as divers ventured into what is now known as Shark Cove, soon to be Atlantis, as crews lowered the first pieces of the new exhibit into the water. Crews have a somewhat set schedule as far as when items will be going into the tanks. However, they'll closely monitor the animals for signs of stress, behavior, or eating changes, and if need be, construction will cease for a bit. Sea Life Minnesota is set to open on March 11th, just in time for spring break, so make sure you get the kids out to the Mall of America, and adults, you're guaranteed a good time as well. Well, over the weekend, more than 1,500 residents ventured out into the cold to be a part of the 9th annual Winter Fete celebration. This year's Winter Fete activities took place over 4 separate days and included various outdoor activities, including a hockey tournament, Nordic ski jump competition, beginners ice fishing with the DNR, as well as this fan favorite.
The signature event of Winter Fete has been for the last few years the Pond Dakota Winter History Festival, which takes place at Pond Dakota Mission Park. And the big draw in that one is we do dog sledding. We have a big dog sled track set up, and you have the opportunity to take your kids or you on a dog sled ride, which is always really popular. And that also features many other events, side events taking place in the pond, Gideon Pond House. And also outside we have a lot of games going on for kids and things too. So lots of activities in the house, outside the house, and you can hop on a dog sled.
Now, if you happen to miss this past weekend's festivities, Mark explains why events like Winter Fete are a positive thing, while still encouraging residents to get outside and enjoy what Bloomington has to offer during the winter months.
We want to do things year-round, provide offerings for the public year-round. Just because it's winter doesn't mean you shouldn't get out and get some exercise and go out and we should provide some fun activities for the public. Basically, it's kind of a unique opportunity to get people to do some activities such as the ice fishing and dog sledding they maybe haven't done before, and to kind of embrace the winter season that we have here, because, I mean, if you're living here, well, you have a lot of winter, so.
And just to remind everyone, Running Park and Brookside Park have great sledding hills if you're looking to get outdoors and get some exercise. Otherwise, residents are encouraged to utilize one of our dozen or so skating rinks the city maintains at various parks around Bloomington. And as the weather heads towards spring and summer, Park and Rec will have an array of events, including Arts in the Park, Summer Fete, and various camps for young people. For more details, go to our website at www.ci.bloomington.mn.us, click on the Park and Recs department, and do a keyword search for summer activities. Well, coming up after this short break, we'll talk with Animal Control Officer Bill Forbes to talk about various ways to keep your pets safe once the thermometer drops. Stay with us.
Was that my exit? There you are, ma'am, all done.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Thanks again.
Every day, emergency workers, as well as maintenance crews, construction crews, and first drivers work on busy roadways. And every day, they're at risk of being killed.
On multi-lane highways, please move over one lane. Our lives depend on you.
Yes, ready. Go get it.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Welcome back to Bloomington Today. We're now joined by Animal Control Officer Bill Forbes. Welcome, Bill.
Hi.
We are obviously coming into some of our coldest times in the state of Minnesota. And when I was reading up on it, a common misconception is that just because our pets have fur, they can withstand these bitter cold temperatures. Talk a little bit about how that's not always true.
Well, it's not always true. It varies between breeds, for one thing. A lot of the breeds have a reputation as being kind of tough, macho dogs. They have the thinnest coats. Pit bulls, Dobermans, Rottweilers, they have very thin coats. They're not good outdoor dogs in the winter. But also, if a dog is spending time inside at night, a lot of people will do that and then leave them out during the day. it's hard for them to develop and regulate their temperature so that it's going to work for them both ways. Either they're sitting in the house dying of the heat, or they're more likely just really cold when they're outside.
Okay. All right. Well, and I know another thing that we had kind of talked about is that there are some statutes when it comes to people that leave their dogs outside. Dog houses have to meet certain criteria. What are some of those?
Right. Minnesota used to have a little more straightforward law that said if an animal was left outside for more than an hour, it had to have a house. Over the winter months, between I think it's the end of October to the end of April, something like that. But they changed it now. It says a dog that's kept outside, and we go as a rule of thumb, if it's outside for more than an hour, we're going to figure it's probably kept outside. If it's a heavy coated dog and the temperature's not too bad, well, maybe that's not so bad for an hour. If it's a Doberman and the wind chill outside is 35 below, an hour's maybe too much without a doghouse. Mm-hmm. We've actually had dogs die over the years, and people have let them out in the backyard and forgotten to let them in for a couple hours and gone back out there and found their dog dead. I recall one case was a lab, actually, had died, and he hadn't been out there more than maybe 3 hours.
Oh,
so it is a problem.
Yeah.
If you do have a house, or if you're going to need a house and he's out there, or he or she is out there, it has to be insulated, has to be large enough for the animal to get inside and move around comfortably, but not so big that he can't eat it with its body temperature. A garage doesn't do it. Even if it's insulated, you can't put a dog in a two-car garage and have him heat that area with its body temperature. You can let your dog go in the garage, but you still need the doghouse in the garage. Okay. It has to have a solid floor, and it has to have a windbreak. Okay. They used to require a flap. A lot of dogs will just rip the carpeting or whatever off. Now it says a windbreak, okay, which can be done with hay bales, or you could actually just take the doghouse and turn it a little bit sideways so that the entrance is kind of sheltered by the garage or the house or whatever.
All right.
Some sort of windbreak. And it has to have bedding.
Okay. Bedding.
Blankets, towels don't work too well because the dogs take them out, spread them all over the yard. Yep. But straw works very well.
Okay. Perfect. All right.
The dog also has to have water.
Okay.
And that's pretty much year-round. But in the wintertime, the fact that you've got 6-foot-high snowbanks in your backyard, that's not water. Not to the dog. You have to get a lot of snow to equal a bowl of water.
Absolutely. Well, that kind of leads me into my next point then. In the wintertime months, there are a lot of things kind of laying around the yard or the garage, whether it's antifreeze or sidewalk salt. What dangers do those things pose for your animals?
Well, there are a lot of things that pets can get into year-round. Certainly, sidewalk salt, if it's just plain sodium chloride salt, it's not terribly good for the animal, and they may lick it up. The problem is that a lot of these different treatments have other chemicals in them, and not all of them are necessarily very good for anybody to be ingesting. Antifreeze, I think most people know, is very toxic. You can kill an animal by feeding it antifreeze. It tastes sweet to the animal. It's ethylene glycol is the main ingredient, and it has a sweet taste. And dogs and cats rarely read the label.
Oh yeah.
It's not good to have around kids either, obviously. There are pet-friendly antifreezes out there, but a lot of times they're a little more expensive, and not everybody's concerned about that.
Okay. Well, I guess then another point that we often see is in these cold temperatures and the amount of snow that we have right now, does letting your animal outside for an extended period of time, besides just the cold, does it ever deter them from getting back home?
Well, it can be a problem. Well, there are a couple of things that can be a problem, especially this winter. We see it every winter, but this winter is especially bad because we have so much snow built up. It covers up scents, for one thing, and dogs especially, but also cats go by scent a lot of times to figure out where they are, and that can make it hard. But also, it can be visually very confusing. Everything's kind of white, and it doesn't look like your backyard anymore. And if a dog gets spooked or a cat gets spooked and runs off someplace, by the time they stop and take a breath and look around, a lot of times they're going to have a hard time figuring out where they are. The other issue that we're seeing that is really a problem is with the high snowbanks, animals are able to get over fences. The other day I was driving down one of the main streets in the city, and I looked over to my right, and there was about a 6-foot high snowbank next to a plowed sidewalk, and there was a big black lab sitting on top of it. And I went around the block and came back and looked, and they had a very high chain link fence. I think it was about a 5 or 6 foot high chain link fence, and this old dog had just walked up the snowbank and across the fence. And, the dog, in that case, wasn't so much at risk, but imagine being a pedestrian walking along and suddenly startling this dog, or realizing you've got a dog like this over your head. You might very well kind of jump, and next thing you know, you're standing in the middle of, say, 86th Street with a car coming. We don't want to see that.
No, I guess.
And we certainly don't want the dog to do that either.
Absolutely. Well, I guess then finally, I always get a little bit of backlash for dressing up my pug, but when it comes to sweaters or booties, I mean, what good do those do for an animal?
Well, paws are very susceptible to the weather, the elements, especially in the cold. The pads can get cracked and bleed and can get infected. They can get frostbite. I have a white German Shepherd. He's a good-sized dog, and we go for long walks. But you have to watch it in the winter. I have some stuff that I keep on the pads to toughen them up and to make them a little more. What's the word? Tough. Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing, but I still have to watch. And we stop every now and then. I check to make sure she hasn't got ice between the pads and so forth. And I'm not averse to going into a building somewhere and let it thaw out a little bit if it comes to that.
Great.
But it can be a real problem. You can buy booties, you can buy salves. There are a lot of products out there.
Okay.
There's no reason to not take your dog out for long walks. They love that usually, and that's fine, but you have to be aware of some of the issues.
Perfect. All right. Well, now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and Bill has brought a special guest, so we can grab Sharon.
This is a cat that came in with another one over the weekend, a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't real clear exactly how they were found, but the two of them were out and about with no place to go and no identification, which is always a problem, especially with cats. Come on, buddy. Come on. This one is a little bit stressed out, a little bit nervous. She warms up once she's in a place where she feels that it's a safe environment. She wants to go back in the crate, of course. She and her, this is about a 3-year-old cat. We don't know if she's spayed. I suspect her partner that she was found with, I think, is probably a sibling, has a little bit longer hair, and it's an unneutered male, so my guess is that this one is probably not spayed.
Okay.
We adopt out all the animals that we can from the shelter, of those that are unclaimed.
Okay.
Fortunately, because of the nature of what we do, we don't have a lot of unclaimed animals. Most animals go back home to their owners.
Wonderful.
Cats are a little tougher than dogs,
okay.
Generally because they don't have ID.
Mm-hmm.
But any animals that we do adopt are adopted for a $30 charge plus sales tax and an agreement to get the animal spayed or neutered if they haven't already been so.
Okay.
That is enforceable, and we take people to court who don't do it. So, okay. And most people don't have a problem with that.
Well, if Sharon's owners, as we're calling her, as Sharon's owners are out there and see this cat, why don't you let everyone know where they can get in touch with. Otherwise, if you're interested in adopting Sharon or another pet, where can residents do that?
Well, The animal shelter is right across the street from City Hall, directly across the street from the police station. We can be reached at our animal control main number, which is 952-563-4942. If we are not there, which is frequently the case, there is a voicemail option. There's also an option to transfer to a live person 24/7 and get a hold of people as necessary.
Great.
And if in doubt, you can call the non-emergency police number and you'll end up the same place.
Getting in touch. All right. Well, great. Thank you so much for being here today with us, Bill and Sharon. And we'll be right back then after this short break.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, if you're a high school or college student from Bloomington, listen up. You could participate in the trip of a lifetime. The Bloomington Sister City organization is now taking applications for the 2011 Cultural Exchange trip to our sister city, Izumi City, Japan. The Sister City organization will select 10 students to participate in the exchange. Those 10 will stay with the host family once in Japan. Students are not required to be a Japanese language student to attend. The cost of the trip is $1,753, and the application includes various questions along with an essay portion, and one personal reference is required. To apply, go to www.bloomington-izumi.org or call 952-563-8713 to have an application emailed or mailed to you. All applications are due by the 18th of February. Well, an inevitable compromise we make when residing in the rapidly expanding community of Bloomington is the notion that traffic jams aren't always avoidable. Now we'll take a look at one major problem area for traffic congestion and find out what changes MnDOT has in store for it. The 169 I-494 interchange is one of the most significant traffic bottlenecks in the Southwest Metro, largely due to the free flow of traffic being disrupted by stoplights. All of that will soon be a thing of the past as MnDOT announces they have officially awarded the contract to C.S. McCrossan and Edward Kramer & Sons. Our team was at a recent informational meeting where project manager Mark Olson, along with his team, helped explain to residents how the process gets underway now that MnDOT has come up with a general plan layout for the project.
We take it to completion, everything from this point forward. So we have the public information side of it, we have the design component of it, we also do the quality control, we deal with all the environmental issues. So MnDOT does an oversight review and kind of makes sure that we're following through with our commitments, but our team is completely responsible for every aspect of the project.
The expert eyes of the contractors, along with the design firm, are then able to take a look at MnDOT's original plan, find improvements, and make changes that will ultimately help cut costs. Here's one example.
A couple of key features that we ended up doing in our design. MnDOT had a relatively large flyover bridge that actually made it over this roundabout. We've pulled this part of the alignment back this way, and we've brought ourselves into primarily a ramp that's on grade for the most part. That we have a smaller bridge that accesses over the top of Marth Road through here.
The reconfiguration of the Highway 169 and Interstate 494 interchange will begin this spring. Most of the work is expected to be completed by November 2012. Tune in to next week's Bloomington Today, where we'll talk with MnDOT Public Affairs Coordinator Brianna McGee as she takes us through a virtual tour of the expected changes to these major metro roadways. And if you've been thinking about updating your old thermostats, now's the time. Recycle it by bringing it to the South Hennepin Recycling and Problem Waste Drop-Off Center at 1400 West 96th Street by March 31st. You'll receive a $5 gift card to Menards. Traditional thermostats contain dangerous mercury and must be recycled rather than thrown out. Use the $5 Menards card towards any purchase or maybe your new programmable thermostat. For more information, visit www.hennepin.us/drop-offs.
We are here today, and it's an honor and a privilege for me, the Mayor of the City of Bloomington, to make the presentation of the banners to Miss Teen Bloomington International and Mrs. Bloomington International.
Mayor Winstead was accompanied by the reigning Mrs. and Miss Teen Minnesota International as he placed the sashes on the 2011 Bloomington pageant winners. The pageant system recognizes women and their accomplishments at home, in the community, work, or at school. Each woman has a platform that they represent. This can be any issue they feel strongly about, community outreach program, or nonprofit organization. 2011 Mrs. Bloomington International is Charlotte Purrs. Charlotte is a married resident of Bloomington. She has a degree in social work and has spent years working and volunteering in that field. Charlotte's pageant platform is focused on providing assistance to runaway youth and their families. Miss Teen International 2011 is Victoria Farrell. Victoria is a 7th grader at Nativity of Mary Catholic School here in Bloomington. She enjoys volunteering at the local animal shelter and Salvation Army. Her pageant platform is Stop Bullying Now. Both ladies will compete in March for the title of Mrs. and Miss Teen Minnesota at the Minnesota International Pageant in St. Cloud. We wish you two all the best in that competition. And for more information on city projects, parks, road construction, and events, visit the city's website. From the front page, you can watch our entire interview with Animal Control Officer Bill Forbes, along with the rest of this episode of Bloomington Today. That and so much more is online right now at www.ci.bloomington.mn.us. We'll even do you one better. Sign up for eSubscribe to have updates sent directly to your email or cell phone. This is Bloomington Today, a presentation of the City of Bloomington's Communication Division. I'm Kaylin Cockerill.